And welcome to the walkthrough for the Grant Writing Manifest. Now, this document is useful for you to collect the administration information required at the front of application forms. This is a repetitive process in that most of the information on here may be required for every form, or most of the forms that you are going to be completing as part of your grant writing application process. So what we did, because we've got a variety of clients, is collect all their information so that we can just take the form and we can run with the information without having to go backwards and forwards and to find other documentation that needs to be uploaded. So this is a run through of the kind of content that we suggest that you collect using this form that you can edit and customize to your own needs, but it could be collected with copies of the information that will be required to be uploaded by a lot of the application funders that you'll be looking to apply for. So here we go. So what we need from you is the registered name of the organization and the trading name. It's particularly important because there will be a requirement as we go down the form to provide your Australian business number, because that is put into the system and it will show the organization's name and alongside the trading name so that they can verify that you are who you say you are. There may be a requirement to have, well, there will be a requirement to have the principal address of the organization. And this is useful in many ways, obviously, because it's a contract address, but it's also useful if there is a funder where the requirement is that you have got to have your headquarters in this state, etc. So that's one way of showing that you are eligible to apply. The principal address may, as you say, you might be a big organization, and that you might have headquarters here, but then they also want to know the street address of the location of where you're applying from. And not just the street address, they're also wanting the postal address. Now, I've come across some non-profits, not-for-profits, where really the postal address has been the front for the organization, and they've had to use a director's address as the street address. That's the only way around that you can do. You can't use a postal address as the street address. You can use the street address as your postal address, but you can't use the other way around. Okay, they want to know the principal contact for the application. They want to know the position in the organization, and they want to know the business and the mobile. Usually that's the same information these days, and the email contact for this person. And this person will be the person that they will be corresponding with. So when you're putting an application in online, make sure that you're using the email and password information for that principal contact. There will be a secondary contact, the person in the event that this person here is not available, then there will be a secondary contact, the assistant contact. It could be the admin in the organization, or it could even be the chair or the CEO, if that person is not already the principal. So it's always useful to have this contact information ready and available. And of course, they're going to want the information about the top of the tree, the top of the organization, the president or whoever may be authorized to sign off on behalf of the organization. It could be the treasurer, it could be the secretary. Okay, then here we're talking about the location of delivery. And for some applications, the location of delivery might be multiple locations. So it's always useful to have that information available. Now, the next step we're looking at is legal information. This is what I call the legal information. So we need to have on hand the Australian business number, the ABN. There will be a question about when the organisation was established. And in fact, you can use this information when you're talking about the organisation. You can say established in 2006, does blah, 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 blah. If you're a business, then there may be a requirement to have your Australian company number, ACN. If you're incorporated, there will be a requirement to have your incorporation number. So if it's always worth going to the state registering office for not-for-profits to get that incorporation number. and you can access it online. Then we've got, are you registered as a tax concession charity? Now, if you are, you'll know you are. Same with deductible gift recipient status. If you don't, then probably you're not. This is for charity, tax TCC, registered with the ACNC. It's so Australian Charities NC, I forgot what it is now, but obviously you'll be registered with them, and also you'll be registered with the tax office to have deductible gift recipient status. If that's you, then make sure you've got a copy of your letter of authority, something that's coming from the official channels to say you've got them. Same with your incorporation certificate, if you're incorporated, because there will most likely be a requirement to show evidence. And it cannot be just going onto the internet, onto these portals, and then just downloading the information from the portals. It's got to be a copy of the official document. And this information must be kept handy. So make sure that this is a priority for you. Do you have public liability insurance? Most likely you should. And these days, the entry level seems to be around $20 million. So make sure that you're covered and you've got the information. And the number of members of the organization, it could be the number of members of your board or committee. Do you have a membership register? Not a lot of the time, but sometimes there's a requirement to send a copy of your members. Now, be careful what information you send them because of the privacy information. And also, do you have a fee for an annual fee? This is not required a lot about the fee, but certainly the members is if it's an application for a not-for-profit. Make sure that you've got, have you got your profit and loss and your balance sheet for the previous tax year? And ideally, you need it for 3 years because, especially in the business area, but certainly more and more in the not-for-profit area, the funder is asking for copies of the last 3 years' financials. This is what they're looking for. If you're newly opened, you can contact them, and sometimes they will just say to you, send us what you've got. So if you've just registered this year, then they'll say, can you send us your operating to date? Your bank details. If you're successful with the funding, they'll obviously want to be able to put the money into the bank. So we need to know here the bank, the account name, the BSB number, and the account number. And this is certainly with the more national grants, the larger grants, that information is required on application, not necessarily afterwards if you've got them when you get notification. Media information, your website address, your Facebook link, Flickr, these days it could be Instagram, not Flickr, Twitter. So if you've got a presence on social media, then make sure you've got the links so that you can send them. There may be somewhere in the application form that requires it, so they can go in and check. And believe me, they check. They like to see what you do as part of the process. So if you are active, make sure you keep your website up to date, your Facebook channels current and showing the activity. And same with Instagram and Twitter. So they're looking for the information. Make sure you've got it available so you can just copy and paste it into the application. Then when you're applying for grants, you don't apply for everything that comes along that might be relevant. Let's fit it into your purpose as an organization. And there will be a question around about what do you do? So you can have make sure your purpose statement is there, so you can pick information from your purpose statement. Sometimes purpose statements are pretty long and can be a little bit over the top. So you just pick out the information that's not diluting what you do, but is actually more pleasing and gets the message across. So make sure that you've got your purpose, your vision and your mission. And some grants will really go into those in terms of what you're doing. There is one that comes out every year around about Christmas time, and they're looking at it's in perpetual impact, and they actually spend as a two-part process. The first part is looking at how you as an organization are traveling towards your mission and how you do that internally with your internal mechanisms. Your strategic plan and your goals, again, because you can relate back to them as part of your argument for funding. This is really useful, particularly when there is a question around the capability of the organization, not just about the project staff and the administration, but you may be looking at how do the top of the tree, the board members relate to the subject area for the applications and for the grant funding. So it's always useful to have to hand the names of the board members and their skills and experience. So you can actually, with your hand on heart, say that, you know, we've got somebody at the governance level who is an expert in financial matters, and you can sort of say that. So it actually, when it comes to assessment of grants, there's to some degree, it's all about reducing risk. And so that what you're doing is showing that at the top of the contract, where the contract is between the funder and the organization, that the risk is pretty low because there's people at that level who have got the right expertise. So make sure that you have got, so you'll always have a president, chair, a secretary, a vice president, vice chair, a treasurer. Used to have public officers, but in Victoria at least it's now the secretary, general committee members, or there might be names, you might give in your committee members names or portfolios, shall I say. So if you've got that information, make sure you've got it to hand. And any other information that you think would be needed to complete the administration section at the front of the application form with ease. So this is a run through of the grant writing manifest. It's your document that you keep with the attachments of required information so that it's making the front end of the application a quick and smooth process.